Alright, hi guys, and welcome to day 30. So today we're going to be learning how to just start, and this will be part 1. And in this part 1, we're going to be looking at how to learn to embrace shame, right? So amongst fear, lack of resources, lack of clarity, something else that is also a great obstacle to actually starting is shame, right? And I think we don't talk about this a lot, right? And when I mean shame, I'm not talking about the dramatic kind of embarrassment or something like that. I'm talking about the small voice that whispers, "You're not good enough," right? Or "What if I look foolish?" Or "What if people still see me in my raw state, not in my refined state," and all of that. So many people cannot just start, not because they can't, but because they don't want to be seen becoming. And sometimes this is very tricky because you may think that you don't mind, you don't care, right? But subconsciously that's what's actually hindering you. You don't want to be seen trying and failing. You don't want to be seen making some mistakes. You don't want to be seen not just being excellent, maybe compared to the standards of others in your field. So many times when we talk about, or when people say just start, right, then they tell you go and make structures, go and make this, go and make better plans, do better goals, be more disciplined and all of that. Yeah, that's true, but fundamentally, right, the main resistance to just starting is not a structural or technical problem. It's more of an existential psychological problem, right? Because if you think about it, right, everybody can plan, right? And okay, you may say, okay, everybody can plan, but not everybody knows how to make good plans and all of that. But the truth, anybody can plan, anybody can build a structure that they want to be committed to and be intentional about. One of the main hindrances is what we're talking about today: shame, right? And the truth is that if you want to start anything meaningful, you need to learn to embrace visibility before mastery. And you also have to exist publicly as a learner. This is the tough part. When you begin to think about this, I have to be visible before I become a master, it means that if I put myself out there, there's tendency for me to fail, make mistakes, embarrass myself or something like that. But these are the rules. The people that you're seeing today, they didn't just appear today. They've been there, right? Even before you knew, or before you had any sense of awareness about them, right? They've been there. They've been putting themselves out there, and now they are where they are. So don't just, when you look at this, don't just look at where they are now. Look at the journey. They've been here for a long time. Maybe you are just seeing them now, but they've been here. And so if you too must walk this path of mastery, you have to embrace visibility before mastery, right? You have to learn how to publicly try, put yourself out there. You want to do something, you're looking at other people, the way they do their own. I know you can't afford those kind of things. You're not at that level yet. Start with what you have, right? Start with what you can do. You don't need to wait to get there before. In fact, if you think that you need to wait before you get there, before you do what you have to do, chances are that number one, you never get there. Number two, you never get to do what you desire to do, right? So what you need to do now is embrace it. Just know that if you must get there, right, to that place of mastery or to that destination, right, you have to be putting yourself out there. You have to be visible, right? And then you have to learn how to learn publicly. Do not be ashamed of learning. Growth always look awkward, right? There's nobody that just came out perfect. No, right? Everybody is a work in progress. So we are all growing. We are all developing, right? And the goal is to be better every day, right? Not to be perfect one day, be better every day, right? That's what we're chasing after. And so if you must embrace this reality of being better every day, you need to learn how to embrace shame, because you will fail, you will be embarrassed, you can make silly mistakes, but that doesn't mean that you should stop. So this is what shame does, right? It tells you that if you cannot do it well, don't do it at all. If you are still growing, you are inadequate, right? And things like this, right? Why this has some elements of truth, right? That you have to learn more, do more, before you actually start or put yourself out there, right? It has some level of truth, but it's not totally true, right? Because the truth is, if you do not start now, there's no amount of training that will make you to be perfect when you want to start the journey, right? And the reason is that there are things that can't be learned outside of the journey. You have to be in it to learn it, right? So if you're waiting to, it's just like theory and practicals, right? If you're waiting to learn all the theory, right, before you then enter into the practical. I mean, look reasonable, right? But you learning all the theory before you enter into the practical does not assure that you will be able to engage in practical 100%, because there are things in that practical session that you cannot learn in the theory. It cannot be explained. Probably it cannot be taught using the theory, right? So it is during that practical session that you even know it, you experience it, you learn it, right? And so if you delay the practical session because you want to learn all the theory, you'll be robbing yourself of even more important knowledge that you should have. So the earlier you start, the earlier you embrace the shame of failing, trying, and getting up again, the better for you, and the faster you even learn, right? So yes, you're learning, you're still growing, we all are, right? But then there are certain things that can only be learned in the journey, right? So you don't start a journey being perfected, right? You don't start a journey being perfected. Even if you have an idea of what the journey is about, you still need to engage in the journey. There are things that cannot be learned outside of the journey, right? Even if you read other people that have been on that journey before, there are things that you personally have to learn in that journey. So that is why those statements, it's not absolutely true. So shame is the belief that being unfinished makes you unworthy of being seen, right? Being unfinished or imperfect or unperfected makes you unworthy of being seen. Everything starts at a raw state. Gold, the things you see that are impressive, shiny, attractive, the people you see now, they didn't start out attractive or impressive or anything like that, right? They've gone through a journey, and it is in this journey that they learned all of these things. You just go read about them. I think that's all that you need. No, you need to start your own journey too, because there are things you too have to learn in that journey. You can't read it all in books, right? In case you're deceiving yourself and you're like, oh, I'm going to be reading 10 books in a month just so that I can be ready enough. You deceive yourself. You need to apologize to yourself for that deception. You understand? So you can't even read other people's story enough to understand your own journey. You must start your own. And what makes you worthy to be seen is not your perfection of imperfection, is your contribution, the value of your contribution, and your confidence in your purpose or in your vision. I'll tell you why we learned to be ashamed of shame, because it's actually something we learned, over time as human beings, right? The truth, especially in this modern culture, the truth is, social media, has magnified this thing of shame in the beginning, right? Because what you see on social media is the outcome. Many people, especially many successful people that people look up to, many of them, they usually post the outcome, they post, the results, post where they are now, and so that's what you see on social media. You see everybody's wins. You see wins everywhere. Oh, I just did this. Oh, this is that. Oh, I went here. Oh, this is how, right? But you never see the process. And so now, you just going on social media, seeing everybody's win, you'll not be, I don't know, feeling ashamed of yourself, like, wow, look at this person. You don't know that there's a process that they follow. Just because they didn't post it does not mean that it's not there, right? Nobody wakes up with a Benz by their side, right? Whether it's genuine or ingenuine, money or miss, right? There's a process. Do not be oppressed. Don't carry unnecessary oppression on your head because you're seeing other people's wins, right? Don't always remember that there's a process to that thing. Just because it's not out there does not mean it's not there, right? They were somewhere else before they got here, right? And you don't compare the beginning of your journey with somebody's 10 years of journey. You have no idea, right? See, there's no mate in this journey of life. Nobody's your mate. Right? No, maybe you may have classmates, whatever, right? But in reality, nobody is your mate, right? And this is not to motivate you to be proud, but like, nobody is your mate. You have your own lane. Everybody are on different parts of their journey, different levels of their journey. And so you, if you're just starting level 1, you cannot be comparing yourself with someone in level 10. You give yourself unnecessary, pressure and oppression, right? So, social media amplifies it so much. We need to know that behind every outcome, behind every win, there's a process. There's a process, right? So celebrate them, but still inquire, how did you get here? How did this turn about? Now, lastly, let me redefine shame for us. Shame is the discomfort of growth, turning into visibility. Discomfort of growth turning into visibility. So don't see it as a bad signal. Don't see it as something that you should, just feel bad about, right? It's part of the growth process. It's part of the growth process. I'm sure the butterfly will look at the caterpillar and probably mock him, right? And probably be like, God forbid, this can't I can never look like this. But the butterfly doesn't know that he actually passed through this stage, right? So just use that scenario to remind yourself every time, right? If a butterfly was to say a caterpillar, right, you probably just look at him in disgust and like, oh my God, God forbid, right? This cannot be me. But it's actually him, right? Or it's actually it. So it is the discomfort of growth turning into visibility. If you must grow, right, and eventually engage in visibility, there'll be discomfort, and one of those discomforts is shame. And this discomfort doesn't mean that you should stop or you should not engage anymore. It just means that it's part of the journey and you have to embrace it. The same thing with fear and every other obstacles in this journey of purpose, right? You don't wait them, you don't wait for them to go, they will not go. Action, pushes them away, because they don't want you to act. That's their goal. They don't want you to go forward. So when you go forward, and the more you continually move forward, they'll begin to give way. All right. So you don't build confidence to chase them away. No. Some of you don't need confidence. You're just deceiving yourself. Or rather, you think you need confidence. You don't need confidence. You just need to start. Right. You just need to just start. Just go. So do not be ashamed of starting, of doing that new thing, of moving, of growing. Right. Growth is not embarrassing. You know what is embarrassing? Stagnation, right? It's both embarrassing, frustrating, and annoying. Alright guys, thank you for watching this video. See you tomorrow.